Hey guys, Desmond here, coming at you today with an actual topic. Have you guys ever held on to something for a long time that just kind of weighs you down? Have you ever not really forgiven yourself for something and it just eats away? Have you ever shut someone down because you just simply know you disagree with them and you felt guilty at some point about that? Or you hold on to the way you feel about them even though people always change? Today I just wanted to talk to you guys about empathy, forgiveness. I kind of have this feeling that empathy is growing out of fashion for humans. This society that we've been building for ourselves, where we're all on our phones and we're all on our social media apps. We're connected to each other, but more distant. We're more able to start fights online and ignore what people might be going through. And even worse than just starting fights online, making it personal. There's so many people online, especially like in the comments sections on things like Instagram. When you disagree with someone and you feel like you don't want to battle them on a discussion, people will just click on your profile, pick something in your profile, and like call you out on that, make fun of you for that. I feel like we have lost touch with what it is to feel each other's feelings. Empathy is the ability to sense and feel what someone else is going through and to be able to share that. And most of us can do it. I think there's some psychopathic people out there that literally just don't have the physiology and the neurochemistry to do it. I think that's what science tells us. But most of us, if we put behind our preconceived notions of what people are doing, if we put down our own narratives, we can connect with the person, especially face to face. It's much easier face to face. Online, it's a lot harder, but it still matters. People's opinions online matter just as much as in person, unless they're a bot. And good luck spotting them. I mean, you can, but it's just important for us to empathize and to be able to forgive someone for what they've done, what they've said to you, how they've come off. To be able to forgive someone is to actually be able to move on for yourself. To be able to forgive yourself is even more important for moving on in this world. If you can't forgive yourself, which I personally have huge issues with. I more easily forgive other people. I'm a very trusting person, and I consider myself an empathetic person as well. So I have an easy time kind of trying to listen to people, their differing viewpoints, and forgive them for where we disagree or where we might fight or some of the actions that they do that I don't necessarily agree with. You know, I understand we all go through different things in our lives that influence us to behave the ways that we're behaving. Like right now, in America, it's politics. Politics is dividing us faster than it ever has before, it feels like to me. And social issues are also dividing us. Fear dividing us, keeping us from understanding we're all going through similar things. We all have pain, and it's up to us to forgive so that we can move on and not hold on to this anger that we have for another person. But like I was saying a minute ago, forgiving yourself is just as important. And I have not figured out how to forgive myself properly for the things that I feel like I've messed up on in life. And it kind of encouraged me to make this video. Not just because I think we're losing touch with empathy in general as a society, but a lot of us might be having a harder time forgiving ourselves so that we can move on. And I just wanted to talk about that too, because like I have a hard time forgiving myself. I've made mistakes that I feel like were the dumbest mistakes I could have made. And I understand that it's a learning lesson and that you have to make mistakes so that you can grow. I understand that. But being able to forgive myself for those actions that have seemingly put me into certain situations that cause depression or anxiety, the way my actions have made me feel make it hard for me to continuously be able to forgive myself. Like I said, I have a much easier time forgiving other people because I know how my brain works, and my brain isn't that dissimilar from you guys and other people, whether you're a hard Marxist or a hard MAGA. Our brains are at least somewhat similar, our behavior is somewhat similar. So when someone's going off on me and, you know, in a disagreement, let's just be kind with it, and trying to put me down, I try not to take it too personal. I distance myself from such situations, but I also understand that those people are not that much different than me. Like, we're all being, in a sense, you might not agree, but we're all being brainwashed. All of us. From our political leaders, from social leaders, from the media companies. They all want us to be pushed into certain directions that benefit them, usually financially, and end up, for lack of a better word at the moment, scrambling our thoughts and brains and how we perceive reality, how we interact with each other. It helps build up apathy for one another so that we can be profitized off of even more. It sucks. It sucks, especially when you consider we have so much at stake. We have an entire planet at stake, and some people don't see the issue in that, and I understand. Like, some people are driven entirely by greed, and of course they wouldn't see the issue. They're addicted to greed. They're not gonna understand that, you know, this isn't gonna be here forever. Their brain's convincing them everything's fine. We can go on, keep making this money. We can go on, keep taking advantage of people. And then some people are just afraid of change. And that's what it is to be a human. Like, it's a lot of change. And some people really want to stay the same. Like, I've been through periods of my life where I just want to stay the same. I don't want things to change. And I regret that now. Because change is needed to make yourself a better person, to make your environment better so you don't stagnate. But a lot of people don't want change, and they fight against it and buy into certain narratives, and those narratives reinforce their apathy towards other people that they might disagree with. And some people want probably too much change. There are people out there on the platforms, the socials, who want to see it all burn down, you know, or they actually want the white patriarchy, and they talk about, you know, an actual Nazi type dream like that exists. And then you've got like really hard communists and Marxists. At least in this country, those are the two spectrums. You got the communism on one side, and you got the fascism on the other side. And it's all very similar Kool-Aid, right? Just different colors, slightly different flavorings, but it's all sugar water with additives added to it. That is not good for you. You know, it's better for us to forgive each other for these ideas and try to work with each other on something that's more balanced than these polarized forms of control. But that, again, takes forgiving and empathy and relating to someone else who has different ideas, someone who might be a Marxist, someone who might be hard MAGA, you know? Like, it takes taking a step back, not judging, and being like, okay, wait. This is just how they think. for certain reasons. I also think things for certain reasons too. But you can be mindful about that. You can be mindful about the ways that society or the planet itself, life itself, might be bottlenecking the way you're making decisions. And if you're mindful about that, you can take a step back not only from judging someone else, but judging yourself. In a way, forgiving yourself and realizing, okay, it's okay that I don't actually have all the answers. It's okay that I'm not the one and only genius on the planet. It's okay to try and work with the person that I disagree with to get a better outcome. And that takes empathy. That takes understanding someone. That takes, where are they coming from? Why are they coming from here? Why am I coming from here? If we can get back to a point, if we ever were at a point, where we could have more meaningful, forgiving conversations with one another, we might actually be able to keep going and not fall into one form of tyranny or the other. Because that's what it seems to me like it's happening to the nation of the United States and some other places around the world. This idea that there's a fascist regime, which it does seem pretty heavy leaning in one direction, but a lot of the people that are calling that out are not a lot, but there's a big vocal chunk of people that are Marxists or communists, and that's just as flawed as fascism, in my opinion. Like, these systems are old think for people. They're not thought of in the 21st century. They're not thinking necessarily about the future. They're thinking about forms of control and controlling our minds to get us to agree one way or the other and align with a political identity, when this natural world isn't that, and if we keep focusing on that, we're going to keep allowing it to slip away. Our home, like the thing that has been here while we evolved, not for just like the last 100,000 years, like not just Homo sapiens, but like every piece of evolutionary path that life has done on this planet, billions of years, has culminated in us and all these species that are here. And if we lose empathy for each other, forgiveness for each other and ourselves, lose empathy for nature, all we're going to be left with is whatever we can build to imitate that, to facilitate what we're losing. And I think that's a shame. I talk about it all the time. I talk about some technological future is probably heading for us because apathy is going to kick in at an ever-increasing pace. And the idea that we don't have to work with one another, that we can just work with our possible artificial intelligence partners, and keep further isolating, keep tunneling down on the negative energy that is on this planet, similar to what they perceive negative energy out is in the universe. But they've come to the conclusion that that negative energy isn't constant. It can be changed. It can be reeled back in. It can have different values in different places of the world, the universe. I speak for the world too, because you can be in certain areas that are very welcoming, like certain communities that are very welcoming, very non-judgmental, very understanding. And you can tell that it's easier to come together. It's difficult because we're not used to that anymore. But it's healthy. It's healthier. And we have to get to that before we lose that entirely, and have to facilitate it through technological means to get our fix on what it is to be a living human before it's all gone and we have to replicate it with technology. It's really important in my mind that we figure this out. And, I think one step in many of our lives is forgiveness, and for me, like I said, it's forgiving myself. I don't forgive myself for so much, and it lays me with depression. Like, I feel like I'm carrying some heavy weight that I know if I could just forgive myself and move on from certain disasters I've caused myself, I would be better off, but I can't. I have a much easier time forgiving people, friends, family, random strangers than I do myself. But for some people, it's the complete opposite. Some people have a much easier time forgiving themselves, but not forgiving other people. I have that in my family circle, and I see the consequences of that. It also leads to loneliness. We don't want to end up a lonely species where we've degraded everything away and all we have is ourselves and our phone or our AI or our whatever we're gonna have in 100 years. I'll just end it there. But I appreciate you guys for listening to me ramble. Hopefully made you think a little bit about empathy and forgiving. Hopefully. Please like, comment, subscribe, all that cool fun stuff. I do appreciate the likes, any comments from any of my friends or any people just passing by. I appreciate it. I'm sorry these are rough videos. Camera angle's always really bad. I just like it raw. I just come to you. Not some heavy production or even some light YouTube production. I just have a thought, an idea, and I come and ramble it out here, and hopefully one or two people enjoy it and it helps them and they carry that message with them a little bit further in life, and maybe they touch 1 or 2 or 10 people with the same idea or a similar idea. Butterfly effect, to try and preserve life as much as we can here. So much is at risk, guys. So much is at risk. So I appreciate you guys. You guys have a great afternoon, alright? Later.